Danielle.
Hi, Casey. We feel very smooth. Well, there's a reason I feel so soft and sort of free-flowing today.
And thoughtful.
Yeah, and we'll tell our listeners in just a second. But hi, Casey.
Hi, Danielle.
It's Bonus Sesh. We're back with another bonus episode where we get to sort of deep dive on issues that have been brought up on the podcast.
Non-housewives related issues.
Non-housewives related. But just things that we have discussed on the podcast. Or not even discussed, but things that are of interest to us. Yes. And we want to take a deeper dive on.
Now, this person, Danielle, the people have called for her.
Yes,
the
they
people
sure have.
They have risen up.
They have, and they have demanded I being one of them.
Yes, you were leading that charge.
Yes.
They said, you spoke of a kitchen healer. Who is she? Where is she? Get her on the show. We need to hear more out of interest.
Yeah. And also exactly what does she do? How can I be healed? How can my kitchen be healed?
Absolutely. We all have these questions. And I don't have as many questions because I do feel my kitchen has been healed, as I've shared.
Been. You walk into it and I see wood boards. I see the plastic's gone. I see a whole wood board full with various things and I am entranced. I have not done it to my home, but I am in
you haven't.
envy. No, my home is a mess. And also bare at the same time.
Danielle, let's introduce our listeners to a woman, the myth, the legend, Jules Blaine Davis, the kitchen healer.
Now, I have to say, we had known the kitchen healer. I had met you in a writing workshop. And then you had used her, and other friends, our friends June and Morgan, who you know, have been healed by you as well. And then you came up on a little website, maybe you guys have heard of, called Goop. Which I screamed when I saw you on Goop. I was like, I know this person. It felt how did they? I know someone that Goop knows. It's shocking.
Very big. Hi, Jules.
Hi. Wow. Winning on the intro. Thank you so much for having me and letting me nourish your bodies.
Jules, tell us everything. Can you, right off the bat, I think the biggest question is, what is it? What do you do? And it's so beautiful and fascinating. And when I tell you because initially, I'll just set you up with this. I was like, I need to learn how to cook. That's just where this spark came. I don't cook. I have children. It felt very embarrassing to me and kind of I was a failure. And so I called Jules and what we got into was so much more than recipes.
Yeah. The things you told me that were coming up, I was like, this is therapy. I was amazed by it.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I don't know what I do. Just kidding. Okay.
It's oops.
Here all night. I am a kitchen healer. So the kitchen is such an amazing place because it represents so much. It's a place of memories. It's a place where people gather, whether it's a wedding or a funeral or just a regular day. It's a place that we hate or we love or both. It's such a shit show up in there most of the time. And I've really come to the place after many years of really just honing in on what this work is and what this conversation is inside the kitchen, inside healing. And really, I haven't come up with one or two answers. It really is everything. I really do believe that the kitchen is a place that is very much like our body. And our body has wisdom in it. But a lot of us don't know that because we never saw what that looks like to even know that we have a body that has wisdom. If anything, we have a body that needs to be fixed. We have a body that's just a mess. We have a body, fill in the blank, I'm sure everyone can. And we don't really look at our bodies as wisdom. We don't even know what I'm even saying right now.
I know, because I do think many of us think of our body as a place that needs to be deprived. We need to eat less. And I look
we have
so
to fix
fat.
it. We got to do and fix. We don't need to be and heal. That is for sure. That's the wrong direction. And so that's where I live. I live in the space that the kitchen is a place that really is, and I'm not going to say fun and amazing, because it isn't if you have a much deeper story in there. And really all of us do. Even if you love to cook, even if you're totally Martha Stewart in your own way, or you really hate to cook and you have a tremendous amount of shame and vulnerability about it. We are a culture that wants to fix the problem, and we don't necessarily believe in, or we haven't really even discovered the story that lies beneath it, around it, inside of it. And so I live inside that story with each woman I work with each gathering I do. Whatever I'm up to is about, for me, it's about the story of the body. And when we get in there, something shifts. When we give it a tea, when we actually lean into what we want to fix, when we feed our hunger instead of deprive, or, oh, I've always done this, or my mom was heavy, so I'm heavy. And, all the stories we carry live inside the body, and they also live inside the kitchen.
Wow.
That's intense. But it's true. It's really true. And I want to know, like, when you first come into a house as a kitchen healer, what are your basic things that you're looking to help bring out in the kitchen and in the person?
The food. Food is a great start. I would say that I don't go in with a template. It's deeply custom. And now, I'm not so much doing the work that Casey got so lucky to experience. I'm doing a lot of virtual work, but a lot of the work, and I also lead retreat, but all of those pieces, our stories live in our bodies. So when you get to grieve and be with those stories, and mind you, like, it sounds like we're getting ready to, like, sit Shiva. We're not. We're I mean, let's not all, die and rebirth, even though I love that process when it's over. The piece about it, I mean, it can be completely in light and in joy. It can be like, I have the greatest memories of my mom in the kitchen. I remember my grandmom, but then my mom, she had a full-time job, and it always lives inside the story. And so when the story is leaned into and sat with, and especially when you're held, which is so much of what I do, I hold my clients close. And when that happens, then you can really grieve and, like, let it go and lean into it and rewrite a story that really aligns with who you are, like with your values, with, oh, I'm a writer and I work all day and my husband works, and so how do we do this? It's not about, like, let's Pinterest recipes on a Sunday. That sounds fun and not sustainable. It actually doesn't sound fun to me, but it sounds, I might have a little judgment on it. But the piece is really, like, it's not about fixing the problem again. It's like, what are your values? What do you value? What are you really hungry for? And then let's roast some carrots. It's not about, this is how you roast carrots. Good luck doing it on a Tuesday and a Thursday. It's not about that. So
I think with the story each person has in the kitchen, I would say in 2 lines, my story is similar to what you said, which is Italian grandmother. All she did was cook hours and hours and hours in the kitchen. And that's love. Like, that's how she showed love, and you felt love eating her dishes. And then her daughter, my mom, was a feminist leader. So there was no cooking. Almost anger surrounding the cooking. And she did make tacos, which all my friends were like, are we having tacos again at your mom's house? And the house was in such disarray, our beagle would just jump up on the dining room table and eat your taco before you could even get it.
Gosh, it was just survival of the fittest over there with the tacos.
It was wild times. And
sounds like running with scissors.
Oh my gosh. Or tacos.
And she always did put out, like, she really did do her best, like, with a vegetable and, different things. But and I'm really not knocking her, but now here I am wanting some mix of the two in a way where I'm not going to want to pretend I'm something I'm not, but I do have a lot of embarrassment and shame around the fact that I don't cook. And I think it's a beautiful thing to do with your family, to be able to do for your family. But you really kind of helped me see there's not this huge problem with me as much as I was feeling like I'm such a mess. I can't do any of this. I don't have these skills. I'm 36. This is so embarrassing.
Right.
And I really did break through to something where I'm like, I am now cooking, I would say, about 40% more than I ever did, which was 0.
That's amazing.
But still, that's a lot.
But a lot. And I have sustained it. And I do feel good when I do it. And these are simple things. I'm not...
Totally. And I would say that, like, your grandma lives in you. So your grandma lives in you, and then your mom lives in you, right? We're filled with lineage. We're also, our bodies and our lives right now are really a compilation of our dreams and our hunger and everything we love and see and all of that, and what didn't get processed in their lives. So we're carrying all of what didn't get processed, which doesn't mean like good luck and see you soon. It means
good night and good luck.
Yeah, totally. Take care. That was fun having me on the podcast. Hope you guys check out my Instagram. No, that's not what we're going for. We're going for, so a lot of what you feel, that shame and that, who the hell am I in this? My mom was freaking fierce out in the world. My grandma was cooking and that was love. Who am I? And so inside that, you get to write who you are in your lifetime, by the way, not just at 37 and 38 when you're having brand new babies and you're in a new marriage and you have a new home and your life is going, successful here and not so great here. I mean, life is it's a long road, no matter how long it's going to go. That angst and that anxiety that we live with inside those stories might not be ours. So drop it like it's hot.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
Now,
Whoa.
our girlfriend June had also used you, and I think you told me this as well, that one just practical sort of thing you did for her, and I haven't done this for myself, but I think of it quite often, so that's a task, is that the minute you come in, like cooking sometimes feels like, I got to prepare dinner. And it almost becomes overwhelming as a working mom too, or just a mom of young kids. Like it just feels like a lot. Like I got to get dinner on the table, as opposed to part of your nightly ritual is just throwing a pot of hot water on.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. That's amazing.
And it was something that she told me she does. Like you don't even know.
So you can get a facial and let those cells go. No, that's not why we're boiling the water.
But putting the hot water on, like not even knowing what you're necessarily going to make yet, but know that you're going to it's part of your routine.
Sure,
it's an easy thing to do.
You got to just turn the fire on. But I think it's also the relationship with fire. And your own fire and how scared you are of your own fire, your possibilities, hence the healing piece. I can go really expansive, so way to bring it in.
Oh.
Thank you. I need someone to hem my pants. You know what I mean? Like just bring in how expansive I go.
Well,
and so the wood board love and turning on the fire
the wood board
are
love
all
is.
And you guys should
pieces to
see
that.
what Jules has just brought today in her purse. I mean, it is.
I've never seen, it's like Mary Poppins, so much food come out of a purse.
Yeah, gorgeous, like natural
Just
food. It
an
wasn't
orange,
just like a
folks,
bunch of
and
like
some nuts.
bars. like I am always like,
It could still
want
be a bar, by the
bar?
way. I mean, permission all around. Permission. Citrus is growing everywhere around the city. I don't know if you've seen it.
I am going to take
I have a
some.
little bit of anger, actually, about the citrus that has not been harvested. I don't know if you've done a podcast about that yet, but
We
it'd
have
be
not delved into
really-
that great issue.
It's coming next week.
But
We're
anyway,
tackling all the big issues, and that's right there.
That's major about gathering citrus in Los Angeles, along with the nearby cities. Anyway, the piece on just getting ahead of your hunger, getting ahead of really the story and the weight that cooking carries. So this is where the story lives. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I've got to cook dinner. Well, if you're going to cook dinner at 5 p.m. and you're not a cook, don't. Mm-hmm. Take out. I'm giving you the permission right now. Here's my permission slip.
God bless you, my
But
child.
if you started something possibly in the morning, which everyone's like, oh my God, my morning's so crazy. I know. I hear everybody. I'm with you. I always say put 2 kids on it and call me in the morning. The piece is when you turn on the fire and you throw something in there, that's when you realize that something hard is softening while you shower, make the lunches, and do a few things. It's where a slow cooker comes in too. And there's an aroma that begins. That doesn't mean you need to finish cooking right then. So this perfectionism plague that we're in, and the piece of, I don't really know how. We all know how to cook. We all know how to nourish. We just don't know yet where to fit it in, how to do it in the messiest, most beautiful, permissive way. We haven't ventured in those areas yet. We want it to be like we're serving, but we're not, because it's 2018, freaking Women's March, woman's going to be president. Like what the hell? I have an apron on. I'm a CEO of a major company. Who the hell am I? And that's where the conversation of what is happening in the kitchen, what is happening in the kitchen and how can it nourish us and nourish the bodies we love, the bodies we make. And, how can it be a healing experience for all? The days of serving other and going upstairs to check out for the night are over. The martyr syndrome is over. We have to rewrite that story, or we would not be where we are governmentally today. If women knew they had bodies that had wisdom, there is no way we would be where we are right now.
Wow.
Good night.
Wow. Jules, how did you come to this? It is a strange phrase when you first hear it, which is woodboard love. Tell us what that is.
Yeah, I didn't have a branding manager on that.
No, I love the phrase.
No, I think it's great, and it begs to want
it's
more.
so great.
It begs some questions.
Yeah.
It does.
You know.
What are the questions? How did I come to it?
So, yeah, where did you kind of come up with this, and what is it for anyone who can't be here and see it?
Totally. Woodboard love is just, I mean, it's the most fraudulent thing, but it really is a life changer and a game changer. It's just cut up food on a wood board. And, you know, you think, oh, it's like for a party, I'm going to get the Trader Joe cheeses and the crackers and the thing, and I'm going to serve. Again, we're all ready to serve. We're ready for it to be perfect. We're ready to have the right glasses out. This is literally, I cut food up on a board, whether I am hungry or not.
Like a cutting board.
A cutting board, yes. And I suggest getting a board just for wood board love, because divorces can ensue when there's been garlic on a board, and then you finally got some food, and then you finally do the wood board love, and you get through all your shame and stories. Everything tastes like garlic. So just like really, you know, get a garlic board in there, and then just get your wood board love. But the piece of the wood board is really all about not asking anyone if they're hungry. That's really like, again, the deeper scaffolding of what the board is when you ask people if they're hungry, then you just became a short order cook, especially if you have small people that you created with your own body or in any other way.
And also, sorry to interrupt, I think asking people if they're hungry, it also puts them in a strange position.
It is the least nourishing question I think there is. Really. I mean,
we're so detached from if we're
we
not.
have
We don't
no
And there's
know.
shame around hunger too. It's like, oh,
Like short-circuiting.
Yeah,
really.
it's like
there's so much shame around all of it. I mean, you'll see that, and we'll see how long this can be here without anyone touching it. And that's a story in itself. And then when you do get into it, you're like, oh my gosh, I've eaten all of it. Has anyone had some? That's another story. And so you get to watch your lineage.
both of those places
you get to
recently.
watch your, you know, Aunt Bertie and your Grandma Lena, and you get to watch all your people show up in the room just with food on the board. And especially even I work with mothers who, you know, have kids, and, well, you know, my daughter, she's eating so much of the board. Well, when your values are on the board, go at it. You can't eat enough fruit and goodness.
And I've done it with my son, and what I will say is it so takes you out of that thing of like, I'm your little taskmaster making a toddler eat, and like, well, we can't have dessert until you have this. It's like all these rules, so exhausting. When I just put out a bunch of good food, he comes and gets what he wants, and I feel like he also has just like, he's like, I'm a human who can decide
Exactly
what I want to eat.
He gets to write his own food story, which is the whole thing we're trying to unravel in our lives. Oh, this happened to me. Okay, going to therapy, which is, I'm completely in support. I'm in it. And like really just, you know, unraveling all those things. And then we're putting it right back in the fear. So a lot of that is fear that they won't eat, fear that we won't be able to take care of them, fear that they won't be healthy, fear that, I mean, add the fear list. I think it's like
Fear that we're
actually
getting
goes
fat.
Exactly.
I love that idea of just having it out, so it's not a big deal. Because I'm always
not a
like,
big deal.
do you want a snack? Like, you know, and I'm always like,
Oy.
it's snack time. You know what I mean? Like I have these
It's a whole
schedules
thing.
in my head.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just look, you guys should see, it's just a board out with some nuts and some fruits, and it could be out for a few hours, and people can pick as they go. And even if you aren't, like, you know what I mean? You don't have to be hungry, or just want a little something, and it takes so much pressure off. And I want to start doing that, especially with my daughter. It feels like something that could be really helpful in my house.
It's just good to have. I mean, y'all should have a board in the office. The piece about it is you just have food. And like you just said, it's not an event. Like it really isn't an event. We don't have to go like forage our food out because there's nothing in the, you know, the hut. We don't live in a tent where we have to like put, you know, we're so blessed. We can have food out all day. If you don't use it, put it in a smoothie. And again, more questions like, well, what if it goes to waste? Okay, the fear of waste, the fear of things. And then you go into your fridge and like everything you bought at the market where you thought on Sunday, I'm going to have time. Molds. That is a story that then collects more shame money, you know?
For sure. Anytime I don't in fact, sometimes I don't buy enough because I am so afraid of waste.
And that is your story.
Terrified of it.
A big part of it,
I hate to bring this up about citrus, but this did get me thinking. A friend of mine came from Virginia, and she was just astounded that we had like an orange tree and lemon tree and lime tree. And she's like, oh my God, if I lived here, I'd be picking those and using those every day. And I literally almost started crying because it just felt like when I look at it, I see like an obligation that I'm failing. Like I'm just a failure because I can't seem to get to it. I don't know how to get to it. Even though I do, it just feels like an obligation or something.
Yeah, and I really can understand that. And really, like when, again, it's another piece of like how much is on you that you're saying yes to that isn't feeding you. Because if you had things that you're saying no to that nourish you, like whatever it is, name the millions of things we can do as women, but we're not necessarily willing to do, but we say yes to can all the time. I can do that. Oh yeah, no, I could totally mop your house and do a floral arrangement. I'll totally drive across town to da-da-da. None of that nourishes. So when you have a lot of that on you in this lifetime, along with all the cans that happened before you, the tree looks like you're going to Uruguay and you need 2 passports and some vaccines. Meanwhile, it's right outside your window of your kitchen. Now, if I were working with you, which I am right now, I would say get support. Someone else can harvest them and enjoy the beauty in a bowl in your home. Write the bridge. Find the bridge. Or write yourself a note. Pick the beauty off the tree and just leave it there. And at some point, you will come to it. It will not feel like an obligation, but it does because you have so many, too many.
And tell everyone about, we went to the farmer's market together.
We did.
Which was quite eye-opening.
That was in 2007. No, I'm kidding. I don't remember.
It was quite eye-opening. Tell us your experience of the farmer's market and kind of feeding your family or yourself, if you're single even.
Yeah, no, anyone can hit a farmer's market with a bat.
I don't think so.
Honestly,
no, it's
I
just,
doubt it.
It's women with big ass strollers. No, I would say that the market, it's a value. I used to, in the way beginning of the work, I'd be like, oh my God, it's so easy. Maybe at the market, it's not easy. You have to park. You have to go get cash. There's things you have to do.
Now, I want to tell you what's coming up for me when you say it's a value.
Tell me.
It feels like I feel badly.
Another thing.
Well, because it is a value. Of course I want, to have like loving food that I've put out.
Totally.
And that is my value. But where the disconnect sometimes comes in for me, and I think for other people, it's not that we don't want to do all this. It's like, how do we do it?
This is I'm so glad you said that. And thanks for being so honest about like, it's coming up again, that same feeling. And that is really, honestly, that's like, we just hit the core of what I'm up to and what this conversation is about. And what it really truly is it's about becoming who we are. And so when you know who you are instead of what you should be doing or what would be good, and of course, like I want to recycle. Like, of course I want to harvest the lemons off my tree. Of course I want to da-da-da. But you're not doing it. It's like when and how can that become like a shape that you can start molding? Like when can that be a conversation that really changes and turns into something that becomes truly like who you are? Instead of the list of things you should be doing and the list of things you're not doing and all the things you need to fix.
Could who you are be that you are someone that gets takeout every night? For instance,
absolutely. If you like fucking have no shame and you're just like, I love takeout and this is totally how I live. I've not met that person, but I'm so open to meeting them. I would be like, you're the best person in the entire world.
I think we've met that person.
You're looking at me, but but I've gotten a lot better.
David.
Oh yeah, my husband.
No, because you said turning on the fire, you
I
really
feel like
do
you
feel
have
it.
shame about
my
it.
husband takes all his meals in bed. Go on, Jules.
Oh, I love that. And I love him. And I love you. It's not about what you're not doing, right? It's not about like what you need to be doing. Like I go to the market every Sunday. I leave my cozy ass house to go to the market in Hollywood. It's far from where I live now.
It is far.
Okay. And I go there because there is no better food in my mouth. Like my palate and my kids' palates have become so used to those Gaviota strawberries and these Cara Cara oranges. And when you taste them, you'll go, that tastes like a freaking orange. So everything I make, it's not based in, oh, I want skinnier thighs, so I'm going to start shopping at the market. That will not sustain you. That will last about 3 months, and then I will not see you there.
Or like, if I spend a lot of money on stuff, I can then think I'm being really healthy and good.
Totally. Whatever the paradigms are that are completely cultural, by the way, they're doing a great job. And so when you really become, and like, that is what my journey work is. It's really become, I don't even really work in the kitchen as much right now. We make our way there, but I don't start there. Because my intention in this work is not only like the deepest authenticity, it's also just like really finding out who you are, even if it's just one part of you that we unravel. Because then you're cooking and you're like, I don't know what happened. I'm making a bolognese that my grandma made. I don't even know the recipe, but it's coming out of me. And I swear every client has this experience. It is surreal.
Well, because I kept asking you, and I had a notebook out, and I'm trying to write down the recipes and write down what she's doing.
That's how I am too. Like, I need to follow.
You need to follow the rules.
Yeah. Oh, I'm a rule follower. If I don't follow the rules, I'm like I melt down because I need to write down everything. And even recipes I've done for years now, it's like I have to always look at the recipe.
Totally, which is awesome. I look at recipes too.
But I will say the way, and I do think you taught me some things just about like basic cooking.
So.
You did. But the crazy thing is not having the recipe is actually so freeing, because it's like I don't have to do shit, but just do it.
Totally.
It's
just
actually
like
removing that step.
Apples is great with cheddar, then fucking go for it. I don't know. Make everything with apples and cheddar. Like when you know what things taste good together, you can let go of whether it's a teaspoon or a thing. You might fail a few times, but failure is like so good for this kind of thing because it's forever. But here's the thing that's not good about failure: when we don't have time because the obligations are high and we're saying yes to everything we don't want to be saying yes to. Are you seeing the pattern?
No, I was going to tell a funny thing you said, and I was thinking, I wonder if you're okay with me saying it.
I have no idea.
We'll find out.
Hold on, let me try to get your brain in my brain. Okay.
We can always...
It's a mess in here. No, I'm kidding. I love you.
Well, one time you said, this made me laugh so hard. So we're doing all these things surrounding the kitchen, and I said something like, God, your husband must so love what you do. And you're like, you said something like, we'll cut this, but you were like, basically like, that's
Maybe
not why I'm here.
It.
Don't look at me for like, I'm not on high. Like we're going through stuff, like don't even
do
try.
Do not guru me, bitch.
Sweetie, I'm not up
Don't
here.
even try it.
It was so funny.
Because we want to float on that fantasy. We will pump the tires up to ride that car into fantasy land. We just want to make a fantasy about each other. Women do this all the time. It is, again, another thing that's not serving us. And then we will ride that pony, and it is not getting us anywhere. Like, you can do it. Here's some oatmeal and cinnamon. Put it in the goddamn slow cooker and call me in the morning. Like, it is doable. Now, getting to it is where the story lives.
Now, you said something earlier that I just wanted to touch on, which is like getting the food on the table before you're hungry, which to me is so important because that is something I'm so bad at. Like, I wait till I'm starving and then I eat the worst stuff because I need something that's in front of me. Whereas if I had just had put something down like half an hour earlier, then I would probably actually...
I actually find in one step further, not eating when you need to is like, I have had relationship ending moments because you're so bottomed out, you know, and it's just such a basic thing of like feeding yourself. And
you have a body.
And you feel so bad.
Totally. It's that same feeling of when your car is on low gas and you're like, I better freaking do this now because tomorrow I'm going to forget and then I'm going to be late to something and God damn it, I did it again, you know, and then your car's like, you're just like praying, please, I know I have 3 more miles, please take me. It's the same idea. And I was making that face because I'm really like feeling so much for your body. And I really when you start to, there's definitely like a grieving that happens when you get into this work because you're just like, oh my God, why didn't I fucking know this? But there's also got to be that dance with forgiveness, you know, and it's not like necessarily like a salsa dance, you know what I mean? It might take a minute. Because that's where the permission comes in. And we have bodies and they need to eat food, like whether we like it or fucking not, like we've got to cut up some food. And our kids, it's the same idea. Like they don't know they're hungry until they're completely melting down. You didn't nourish yourself. Now you're not even doing that empathy parenting thing and you're completely doing what your parents did or whatever. Everything you're hoping not to do, you're doing because you're not nourished. So it's like, really this turns into like, how do you nourish your life? How do you nourish your home? And a lot of people, you might be listening and saying, oh my God, that sounds like so much, and hence why the work has such a beautiful editing device. I'm like the last person people come to. I don't take anybody that's like on a diet or anything. Like, you have to be starving, to be completely honest, to like really want to delve into grieving the fact that you didn't know basic information, or that you really did, but you haven't been listening to it, and that you're ready to be held in the deepest love by me and by this conversation.
And that you have like 40 protein powder canisters in your closet that you
can
keep
totally
buying,
have protein.
Thinking you're going to be someone that just has a smoothie.
That's fine. I'll let you keep those in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, again, fantasies. It's not about that. It's not about like not having Cheetos on the wood board with the Cara orange. I don't care what you have out there. Over time, you will come to want to nourish if you make the space. And really, it comes down to that. And it's when you say about putting it out, it's cultural. And so you're literally creating a culture in your home that isn't angsty before a meal. I mean, how many people in your home, along with the Jewish tribe, have been angsty before a meal?
Oh, all
can we talk about the entire culture of
There's
Judaism?
so much
possibly?
anger and anxiety around food in my family, my house, my life. I mean, my parents, my grandparents.
Although I would say,
is what I want to say to that.
Married a Jewish man, I really do appreciate in the Jewish culture the overabundance of food.
Absolutely.
I'm like, finally, someone's put out enough. And that's not even enough.
And they're making me eat it too. What loving people.
It feels very good. It's just like, we're going to have more than enough. Everyone's going to be okay here.
No, I always say, this work, I mean, I used to say it early on, but now that we've been kind of excavating from the beginning to now, it's like a kitchen healer is a Jewish grandma meets a doula, meets a midwife. It's like birthing this new idea of abundance, of permission, of love through nourishment in our entire lives, not just in the kitchen.
And I do think, last thing as we're wrapping up, it is the perfect time right now for women to take a look at this, because I do think 2 generations ago, the greatest generation, their place is in the kitchen. That's just that was the label. Mm-hmm. And then the second wave feminists, that raised us, that had a very different, like, pushing away of that. And we have kind of are lost.
Yeah, I think that we are, I don't know if we're so lost, but I know that we have a lot of longing. We have a lot
longing.
of,
yes.
It's like
That's
an unnamed longing.
It's like a hole.
And we're like totally into burning the bras with the aprons, and we're totally into like really getting into our, 6-figure, 7-figure lives. And I am all about that. I love abundance in all realms. And
Do you have a Clairvoyant?
and by the way, I bought that all myself. Woo!
Of course you
So
did.
and I nourished
Yes, baby.
in the entire process, and I'm always practicing. Am I over laboring here? Am I taking on too much? These are the conversations I'm always having with myself. I can't see more than one person a day in my work. Like I can't do that. I can't like fill it up, because then I'm not being who I truly am, and I can't serve in that way. And so it always starts there. It's not about how much I could make or what I could be doing. I mean, sure, I could do a lot of things, but will I? And that's that can and will piece, right? And will is worth, and it's the beginning of what it looks like to nourish your lives.
Wow. Jules.
Wow.
I just love your bodies.
Thank you so
much. Jules Blaine Davis. Will you just tell everyone where we can find out more?
Right here in Los Feliz, in the towers, without a beach view. Where can you find me? Yes, Instagram, Jules B. Davis. There's a lot of hashtag woodboard love. You can definitely be inspired by people all over the world doing it, which is so amazing.
Oh, I want to do that. I want to look up
my website. My website is julesblainedavis.com.
The next best thing to doing yourself is looking at other people's.
Oh, please. That's how I live my life. I feel like I've gone on many vacations that Christy Teigen has gone on.
Totally. That's amazing and so much cheaper. And where else? Oh, and I did a TED Talk, which will be a great, beautiful place. A 13-minute free moment with a tea in your hand, if you can get one, and woodboard love.
Wow, this has been truly inspiring, and I love that you touched on longing. I think that's the word that kind of sums up all of this work, because I think everybody has it.
Me too.
As other things have fallen away.
Me too.
Thank you so much,
you,
Jules.
Jules.
Thank you.
This was beautiful.
Thanks.
Thank you.